There was like a mental shift that took place because of how wonderful I was feeling and how reborn I felt. It was like my thoughts about this is me aging. I need to just be okay with these types of problems. They were gone. It was like, no, that's nonsense. That's utter nonsense. That was really due to food. And the funny thing is, I don't know if it was just me, but I always put body pain with I either moved wrong or moved too quickly or lifted something heavy. Never that I ate something.
Right.
If this is the way that a human being is supposed to eat for optimal health and longevity, is there any question that this is the way to eat?
Welcome, friends. It is nice to see all of you. And we have a special guest today that will join us as we meet, pray, and love together. And Toni is our guest, and he has really an extraordinary YouTube channel. That's how we connected. And I know he'll talk about that later. But Toni, could you tell me your carnivore story? How did you discover this way of eating?
Hey, Rabbi, it's nice to be with you. Thank you for inviting me. It was at a time when I was dealing with a series of health issues that seemed to pile up after I turned 40. I was really desperate to find solutions. I can't exactly recall the exact moment, but I believe it was a Caleb Peterson or a Jordan Peterson video that initially sparked my interest in the carnivore diet. To be honest, when I first heard about carnivore, it didn't seem reasonable or healthy to me. I'd always considered myself quite a healthy person since my early 20s, eating well, organic, no white sugars and flours, farmers markets and salads and whole grains and all that. And meat, of course. I was never vegetarian. If you'd asked me before trying carnivore what I would have believed would be more healthy, the vegetarian extreme or a carnivore extreme would have always been vegetarian. But anyways, I'd had like really chronic back and hip pain for 4 years, debilitating. I'd need a cane to walk sometimes. No rhyme and reason to it. It would just flare up out of nowhere. And physical pain that's debilitating to your lifestyle can really impact your mental health. I couldn't do the things I enjoyed. I couldn't play with my children. I couldn't work outside. And the physical therapy, massage therapy, acupuncture with needles the size of darts, nothing really worked. So for me, although carnivore was extreme, it was a no-brainer. I thought, let me give it a try. Around January of 2023 is when I jumped right in. I didn't do any transition. It was from one day to the next, just meat only. I had a little bit of nausea the first week, nothing major. But I was so surprised within a 2-week period, a lot of the chronic pain in my body went away. I'd also been experiencing 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks was enough for me to notice something happening, to dispel most of my skepticism, most of my unanswered questions about there was obviously still a whole bunch of questions on, can this be sustained long-term? Will I be able to do that in the long term? That's another story which we'll talk about. But over the short term, I was also having very severe stomach pains, which would come up at night. I had no idea why as well. That disappeared. Energy, mood, everything that you hear from these anecdotal stories that we're constantly hearing online from people turning their health around. I started to experience it. So 1 month went by. I decided to push it another 30 days. And fast forward almost 500 days now, it's become more than just an experiment or a temporary solution. It's transformed into a lifestyle. And by month 3 or 4, it was something surprising happened. There was like a mental shift that took place because of how wonderful I was feeling and how reborn I felt. It was like my thoughts about this is me aging. I need to just be okay with these types of problems. They were gone. It was like, no, that's nonsense. That's utter nonsense. That was really due to food. And the funny thing is, I don't know if it was just me, but I always put body pain with I either moved wrong or moved too quickly or lifted something heavy. Never that I ate something.
Right.
And it caused it. It was just never in my head. So it ate something would be, I have a stomach ache or I'm going to the bathroom in a different way. That's okay. That's something I ate. But hip pain, no, that was, I exercised too much or I lifted this heavy box. It was never something that was even on the realm of things to try because I always thought, oh, I'm eating, there's nothing there. But turned out it was very much inflammation related. And the over time, over those first 3, 4 months, and I'm sure a lot of people can attest to this who do carnivore, is you start eliminating almost everything that is negative to you
Yes.
beyond food. Like I stopped drinking alcohol, even socially. I was using, let's say, computer media and social media in a very limited manner. I had so much energy that I just wanted to be productive. I felt good. I wanted to really
Yes.
do the best in each day. The long-term aspect of it started to be like, you know what? If this is the way that a human being is supposed to eat for optimal health and longevity, is there any question that this is the way to eat? It was just, it was a different conversation. And I just, I didn't even think about it anymore. I just day by day, all I wanted to eat was meat and eggs, and the cravings really went away. I wasn't craving anything. The only thing I was craving was to feel good and to continue feeling good. That was really, it was unimaginable really for me. It was really
That is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. When did this all happen? When give me the time frame here.
I would say within the first 2, 3 months, anything physical that I was experiencing from joint pains to stomach pain to irritable bowels, gone really completely. And then also mental health, energy levels, mood. Within 2, 3 months, all of that was, I would say, completely turned around. And then beyond that, there were things which I wasn't really targeting. They just happened. My gums felt a lot stronger. My teeth looked a lot stronger. My skin looked a lot clearer. I had also, it wasn't until I listened to Jordan Peterson's interview where he said he had floaters in his eyes that disappeared. And I
Yes.
thought, I had something in my eye, which I never knew was called a floater, although it's an appropriate word for it. It literally actually floats in your eye when you close it. I checked and it was gone.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I need to make a list. It's just so many benefits. The benefits were so immense that within the fourth, fifth month, and there was no doubt in my mind that this was a healthy way to eat. And I incorporated more of that diet into my children's routine as well.
Wow. Tell me, how old are your children?
My youngest is 2, and then the eldest is will be 4 in a few months' time. So very
Okay.
young.
Yeah. They're gonna be
And it was,
superhuman.
oh man, I wish my parents had blessed them. They did their best. They didn't have any
Yeah.
education on nutrition. My mom cooked at home, but we had soda and chocolate, unlimited sugar. There was no problem there. But yeah, they're legitimate card carrying carnivores. They do have a little bit of fruit. We do have access to high quality raw dairy here where we live in Poland. So they do drink fermented milk and things of that nature. But their
Great.
diet is meat, mostly beef. We did ketovore to ease into it, but after a while, they didn't even want the vegetables.
Great.
Most parents that we know are can't believe how our children eat. They're struggling to feed their kids rubbish. And we have the opposite problem. We have to control how much they eat. They want more. My youngest daughter can eat 2, 3 cheeseburger patties and butter. But when you do this, you understand that one, there's no problem of overeating because she stops when she's full. And then there's no snacking. They're having like 2 meals a day and a snack, which is unheard of for children, but they eat really well. They eat nutrient dense foods. They are happy, full of energy. They sleep well. When they get sick, they heal quickly. There's really, we were worried, my wife,
Of
especially in the
course.
beginning, she was like, so that's why we did ketovore. If it was up to me, I was convinced. I'm like, no, everyone should be a carnivore. There's no discussion. But to appease her, I thought, okay, let's keep some vegetables on the plate and we'll also keep a little bit of fruit. This way she can't say they're eating only meat. But they didn't want it after a while.
That's incredible. And I think at that age, raw milk is probably very good for them when you're in a because they're growing and that's what milk is for. It sounds like you've just got it ideally set. Uh, Talk to me a little bit more. Were there any challenges? Or obviously you live at you can talk a little bit more about what you where you live. You're not in a big urban area where you've got all these social anxieties and pressures to conform. But were there any challenges in in your adaptation to carnivore?
Not really. I would say it was much easier and much more pleasant than I would have expected.
Mm,
There was only, like I mentioned, the first week there was a bit of transition where if when I ate a lot I would feel a bit nauseous.
right.
But there's changes that happen in your body over that period. Your stomach has to produce more acid there, and new enzymes have to be produced in different proportions. So it took a while for my body to make that adjustment that week. But beyond that, there was nothing. Social pressure, not really. We live in the countryside, but we're not like in the middle of nowhere. We have family around us. We have a city close by. But like direct close family, my wife, she was very supportive because she'd seen the struggle over the past few years that I was going through. And so she knew that we had tried everything. There wasn't really anything that one could say, "Oh no, don't do that. If it can work, try it." My mom, my brothers, all very supportive. No problems. Even
It's
when we go out,
wonderful.
yeah, it was so easy. I wouldn't say it's easy. I would say there were so many more pluses that the negatives were like to me inconsequential. Like it simplified my life so much. It's just not having to think so much about food and preparation and shopping and menus and what's for dinner today. It's clear what's for dinner. There's no question what's for dinner almost every single day. So it was a pure pleasure for me. That's why going into it long term became so easy.
Mm, mm. That is so well put. I like the idea that there are always like minor inconveniences, but they are so outweighed by the benefits. Tell me, I know you're in Poland. Do you think it's easier to be a carnivore there? What's the dining culture like? What do people generally eat?
The diet here is meat heavy. They eat a lot of meat, but obviously it's very carb heavy as well. They eat
Right.
a lot of bread, a lot of potatoes, a lot of dumplings made with white flour. It's not carnivore by any stretch of the imagination, but they do eat a lot of meat, mostly pork. But
Yes.
the living here in Poland, and Poland is part of the EU, so the food quality and cleanliness is really much better than the US. There's very strict limitations on what sort of treatment the animals can have, what sort of medicines they can take. We're eating mostly beef and we order it online from a farm. It's grass fed, grass finished. But even if I didn't want to go that route and just get regular Polish beef from the supermarket, it's very clean. It's clean beef. The pork is clean as well. But beef is the main staple for us. And it's quite easy to get here in Poland. No problem at all.
Have you noticed I wanna go back to your kids because that was such a interesting you are unique in that. I'm sure there are others, but did you notice any change in their ability to focus? I know they're young, but they're just their vibe when you moved when they became carnivores?
We noticed a change actually, it's hard to say if we noticed a change because they're changing so much
So
every day.
yes,
At those
true.
that young age, you don't know whether it's just development or anything. But I would say everyone is very biased towards their kids being the smartest kids in the world, but they learn very quickly. My 4-year-old, she speaks English and Polish fluently. Polish is not an easy language. It's very
No.
difficult. She speaks STEM fluently. She translates what I say to her grandparents and translates back. Like mentally sharp, but it's hard
It's
to
hard to
say.
say. They're
All I can
changing
say is
so
that
fast.
we've not noticed anything negative. Their health is good, their mood is good, their sleep is good, their bathroom habits are good. So nothing really that would have been like, oh no, definitely not good for kids. No, everything is quite good.
It's wonderful. That would be such an interesting study to do at some point. It'd be very hard to do, but tracking kids who are raised as carnivores and how on different tests and measurements physically, mentally. Again, that would probably be impossible, and it would we wouldn't learn the results if we started it now. We wouldn't learn the results for 20, 25 years. Kinda like that marshmallow, the famous marshmallow test with the kids that resisted the marshmallows ended up more successful in life. It'd be interesting to see whether that's true with carnivores. Tell me a little bit more. You
I
you
think that
got
was
so much energy. You got so much energy out of this changing your way of eating. What have you done with that? Obviously, you're just talking with you, I can tell you're a high energy guy. Where are you focusing?
we live in the countryside in Poland,
Yeah,
so we have a piece of land. So there's a lot of outdoor work to do, cutting wood. We Before carnivore, we used to grow vegetables in our garden. So it was now that's almost a moot thing. We were so
right.
excited about that ability to do that, but now it's really we do like ornamental gardens just for to enjoy it visually. Um, but I used to work in my previous life in corporate finance, private equity, and M&A. So my lifestyle here is a complete 180 degrees from
Wow.
that hectic, crazy lifestyle. So there's a lot of time in the day available now for me here. So obviously, I take that time to spend with my wife and my children and see them, being able to be that close to them and see them grow. I couldn't imagine having the old lifestyle where I'm gone 10, 12 hours and then maybe you see them a bit in the morning and maybe in the evening, who knows. Having that mental clarity and new positivity on life with that time is wonderful for my time now with my children. And then obviously the other things that we have to do around here, living on a larger piece of land. But I've also recently started a YouTube channel because obviously we carnivores, we get so excited about what we've
Yes.
discovered that we really want people to know that, hey, this is something you need to look at. This isn't a joking matter. It's serious. So I started a YouTube channel. I thought, let me start and talk about my own story. And I always enjoyed, I still do, listening to interviews of people talking about their own stories and what carnivore has done for them and how traditional systems have failed them. Very inspirational. I also enjoy writing. So I've combined these two together. And my channel's called We Are Carnivores. And there's a series that I started on there called Healing with Carnivore. So I take these interviews and I transform them into short narratives that kind of drive inspiration, hope into people. And yeah, it's really I thought, let me try this out, and I actually enjoyed the process. So I hope it resonates with people when they listen to it.
I have absolutely enjoyed the channel, and it's a great writer, and you're using some good technology and music and capturing a story. We all sometimes in an interview get a lot of facts, but there is a narrative arc, almost like a hero's journey, and you're able to capture that in a beautiful way. Tell me about that. Do you think your previous life as a corporate finance, private equity, did that contribute somewhat to the issues you think you were having and the way carnivore transformed that? It just seems to me this is a wider transformation you've gone through. Do you see that connection between sort of your work and then diet and the kind of life you live now?
Yeah, who knows? So many years of stress, intense stress, deadlines. Didn't feel like anything that was problematic at the time. It just felt like this is how it is. You just manage it. You take vacations, do some yoga, you meditate, you handle the stress. But I'm sure that level of stress, disturbed sleep, sitting in front of a computer for so long, I'm going out at night and drinking alcohol regularly. That's the lifestyle of you have to, whether you're going out with clients or with your team to celebrate, then alcohol is in the mix. And I think for me, getting rid of the alcohol and the sugar, because I didn't think sugar was bad. I thought white sugar was bad. I felt like processed. I still bought onto the whole idea that eat cane sugar or eat honey or eat stevia or whatever, what have you. you're good, but don't. So I would eat as much sugar as I wanted, as long as it was that sugar, that was fine. But now the idea was that sugar is sugar. It might have different appearances. Sugar is sugar, carbs are sugar, cane sugar is sugar, white sugar is sugar. There's no way to
Right.
paint any other way. So I think getting rid of that sugar component and then eliminating the devices that I had accumulated at that point, whether it was poor sleep patterns, drinking alcohol too often. Mhm. And it all happened after 40. I didn't have any problem before. It seemed like
Yeah.
something clicked after that where my body just couldn't handle it anymore. And thank God I found this way of eating and completely turned my life around.
It's fantastic. We didn't talk about this ahead of time, but is there, I'm a rabbi, an element of faith? Is faith a part of your life, and has carnivore changed that at all? Tell me about that.
Yeah, faith is, I would say, not in an organized fashion. Like we have faith in our lives. We believe in a creator, but I was raised in a Christian household. But I would say it's made me question some things because a lot of, and I was thinking that I should probably do a video on this. We hear that it's being vegetarian or being vegan is the spiritual path
Yes.
because you're not killing. But I can't see that anymore because I think I know for a fact from my own experience that this way of eating is in my design. So if my creator made me like this, it can't be against his will for me to eat the way he designed me. And you see how this world functions. Something eats something else. And we don't
That's
really
right.
understand how sentient vegetables are. There's a lot of proof that
That's true.
vegetables are much more sentient
That's
than
right.
we give them credit for. We only view the world from our senses. So there are things that we can't see, we can't hear, we can't sense. So we don't understand that side of it. So I think it's made me look at spirituality in a deeper way from that point of view that, you know what, no, eating meat is not wrong. Mistreating animals so you can eat them, yes, that's wrong. But
Yes.
letting animals, raising animals in a way where they're living in their natural environment and watering them in the most painless way possible. You know what? That's as best as you're going to get to
That's right.
a ethical approach. There's no 100% clean. If you want to eat, something is dying. There's no way around it. You know, whether we live here, we're flanked on the left and on the right by big farms. And I see what happens throughout the year when they have to prep the soil and the maintenance when the crops are growing and then harvesting. Whatever is living there on the land, from all the rodents, the bugs, the birds that fly to eat, those get devastated. Something's dying, either directly or
Right.
indirectly.
That's right. And perhaps many more creatures are dying and when growing vegetables. There's a wonderful book about this called The Vegetarian Myth, where the author Lierre Keith talks about this very eloquently. If you think about it, a person could live on one cow for an entire year, and that's one of God's creation that is killed versus potentially millions when you start a field and monocrop. The millions of of tiny little bacteria and so forth in the soil are killed. It's a huge difference. That's very beautifully put. What
Yeah.
would you advise? What would you advise a new carnivore? Somebody comes to you and says, "I'm interested. You look great. You sound great." How would you advise them to take this path?
I've found that most people will not do it unless they really have serious health issues or they're maybe into athletics and they can see it as an advantage. But I think for the majority of people, the plant dogma is so deeply ingrained, the propaganda is so deeply ingrained that they just cannot see this as being healthy, no matter your experience or not. So if someone comes to me and they want to start a carnivore, I will tell them that to want to just relax, to take it easy, to not think too much about it, to not think too much about the long term aspect of the diet. Can it be? Because I think that's what turns people off. Like I could do it for a month,
Yes.
but can I do it for longer. No, no way. Okay, forget about that. Like, that's not a problem. Do it and see how you feel. And then do it in a way that you can sustain it. So eat things that you like. Don't eat things just because this might be the best. So try different meats at first, see what works for you. Yeah, but eat meat and cut out um, a lot of the junk. I think the lifestyle sells itself. You just need someone to take that first step. But when they do, I think the experience is so benefit ridden that it almost becomes okay. There's a lot of
That's right.
momentum built there, and people will do it, even if it becomes. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem for someone to be eating mostly meat and still incorporate some other things in their diet if they must. But I think if you eliminate a lot of the really negative stuff like the grains and the legumes and maybe the very high carb fibrous vegetables and incorporate a lot more meat and animal fat, and obviously the seed oils and all that and the sugars, but incorporate meat and animal fats in your diet, you're going to see benefits. As long as you don't have problems like I had with inflammation and
Right.
digestive troubles, I had to quit everything. And I've tried over this 500 days, there have been periods where we had family come visit us from the US and brothers and everybody and people drinking. And so, yeah, I'll have a few drinks and I'll eat a few things. You feel it. You feel
Yes.
the impact it does. And I'm like, okay, this is just reinforcing what I already know, that these things don't really work for my body anymore. That's it. I took it as a positive. Look, every time I delve into the things which I've eliminated and I experience their side effects, I'm like, okay, great.
Said.
I'm a much more firm believer now than I was before.
That's great. What's your eating schedule like now? Doing 2 meals a day, 1 meal? What's it look like?
I was 2 meals a day for a while. Now I'm doing one large meal a day, and then in the evening, I might have some bacon or be some leftover steak. Very light meal in the evening, maybe a couple of fried eggs or something, but one large meal around noontime. It worked well. I notice, I sleep much better if my stomach is not too full. So
Right.
if I've given my body a good amount of time to digest my food, I sleep much easier.
Well said. Thank you so much. What a great conversation and a great story, a very inspiring story. And I highly recommend Tony's YouTube page. Can you say what's it called again?
The channel is called We Are Carnivores, and the series on there is called Healing with Carnivore.
Healing with Carnivore. Thank you so much. Many blessings and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's been great speaking with you.